And welcome back, folks, to another episode of a video where I talk about things. So, um, in this video, I'm going to talk about marketing. That's right. Make it short and sweet, relatively. So, if you want to be successful at marketing, there is a relatively short and sweet and simple cheat code you can use, which is basically a 4-step repeatable cycle. And this goes for SEO, this goes for SEM, this goes for social media marketing. It even frankly goes for word of mouth in ways, although it's a little bit different for that, but it's basically the same thing. They're just more outside factors. But online, in pretty much every omni-channel that you can think of, email, referrals, affiliates, direct, you name it, organic, right? There's a 4-step process that you can use, and it is a combination of lean marketing, fast fail marketing, and fragile marketing, right? The fast fail lean agile marketing method. And it's the method that I use and that I've been using for a very long time, since before it became a thing, before it was quantified as such, before it was given those names. But I've been marketing since 1980. And yeah, I started very young, as a little kid in the company. And I figured that you have to be able to create repeatable processes, because frankly, most products and services require very similar marketing processes, even if the products and services are completely different. The way of growing your customer base, the way of growing your client base, the way of growing your user base is very similar, even if the tactical steps vary, right? And even significantly. And that process basically is as follows. Step 1, plan. Step 2, test. Step 3, review. And step 4, optimize. And then you rinse and repeat. So plan, test, review, optimize. And yes, it does sound very simple because it is very simple. Then again, of course, doing the individual steps each requires a great deal of detail. Now, they are just details, but they're obviously critical to the success of any of the steps. And you have to do all kinds of other things, like getting buy-in from all the stakeholders before you start the process, understanding the lay of the land, doing all the research to know what's going on internally and externally with your competition, knowing what the keyword research is, knowing what the market research is available, what's the available business intelligence, right, or BI as they like to call it. Doing all that work, working with the developers if it's a software thing, and the DevOps and the management, the chief financial officer, chief revenue officer, chief executive officer, and very often, chief legal officers, and, pretty much department heads across the board, whether it's, from the non-paid marketing channels to the paid marketing channels and every other aspect of the corporation. And this is pretty much something that works across the board for not just software companies, but also hardware, consumer goods, consumer electronics, perishables, pharmaceuticals, you name it. There's no shortage, utilities, whatever it might be, oil and gas, any industry you can think of, any vertical you can think of, and any horizontal you can think of, these marketing processes are pretty much the same. And the reason that it works is because it lets you optimize the effectiveness and the significant positive impacts that you make by, first of all, figuring out what does not work and getting it out of the mix. That's critical to the success of marketing. You have to, first of all, figure out what does not work. The faster you know what does not work, the faster you're left with only what works, right? It's like the old light bulb theory. Edison, the old story of Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, and some reporter came to him and said, how many attempts have you made at making the light bulb? And he told them, whatever it was, a few thousand times. And the reporter said, so you've failed to make a light bulb thousands of times and you're still at it. Why? And Edison said, I didn't fail to make a light bulb thousands of times. I figured out a few thousand ways that you can't make a light bulb. So eventually, all I'm left with is the ways that you can make a light bulb. First figuring out the first way that you can make a light bulb, and then eventually developing into further ways. Right? It's the same concept. If you figure out what doesn't work for your marketing, first and foremost, and get the big things out of the way, where it's not going to work if you do these things, then you don't really have much left other than what can possibly work. It's really quite simple. It's like, a lot of it is like, if you ask, if you would have asked Picasso to paint you a painting, there's that famous story where somebody asked Picasso to make a painting or a drawing or whatever, and then spent, a few seconds or a minute or whatever it was, 5 minutes making a beautiful picture. And then somebody said, wow, you just spent 5 minutes doing that? That's nothing. What makes it so great? Anybody can spend 5 minutes to draw that. And his answer, according to the story, was, it didn't take me 5 minutes. It took me a whole lifetime to be able to do that. Right? It's the same thing in your marketing. It's a long, slow process to master all of these ways of marketing, so that all these steps in the marketing process, so that you can also be extremely efficient with your time and extremely effective with your results, with your work, to get you the best possible results. And to optimize those results, again, it really is a repeatable process. If you try to overcomplicate it, you're just going to do yourself a disservice in terms of what you can actually achieve, because it comes down to those 4 basic steps, which again are plan, test, which is like to run the campaigns, to run the test campaigns or the soft launch or even the big launch. Review, review all the data, review the performance, etc. The data matters, the analytics matter, the BI matters, quantification matters, communications matters, transparent information matters, daily stand-ups and meetings matter, twice a week meetings with certain key stakeholders matters, weekly reports matter with team and management, quarterly, monthly and quarterly, semi-annual and annual reports matter, all to keep you in line, aligned, and all headed towards the same goals and benchmarks and milestones, etc. And if you do that properly, it has a higher probability of success than if you try to reinvent the wheel, which has already been developed into a well-known science that you can use to your advantage as a marketer. So don't get stuck trying to reinvent the wheel when you don't need to. When you need to reinvent the wheel, then by all means, reinvent the wheel. But if you don't need to reinvent the wheel, use the wheels you have access to, not the wheels you want. All right? Use the methods that work, that are proven by data and science. Don't get stuck trying to invent processes that don't need to be invented, and end up a winning marketer, a successful marketer, by using known systems and known processes. Use known tools, use CRM tools, HubSpot, ClickApp, Monday, all these different tools. There's a whole bunch more, obviously, that you can use. Even free CRM tools like Free CRM and others to use to optimize the process, to share tasks across teams, to adjust tasks as necessary, to basically make your success in marketing more of a sure thing, more highly probable to turn out into your advantage and into your favor. And do that in order to be a successful marketer, because that really is the method And it's not complicated, like I said. Obviously, the individual steps have a lot of complicated steps and processes, but the big picture is not complicated. And as long as you manage that well and you coordinate between your teams and you have good alignment and good communications and good transparency so that everyone knows how it's going, what's going on, what have you done, what are you doing, what are you developing, that's the way to be a successful marketer. So there you go. That's it. Happy marketing. See you in the next one.